The house you live in is not subject to zakat. No other house you own that you are renting out except on the surplus rental income. So if the person is renting out a house, okay, zakat is not due on the house value, only on the rental. And even with saying that, do I have to factor in and take into consideration the entire year's worth of rental? What do you think? Which rental will I take into consideration? Yeah, mashallah. What's left? So if I was saving the rental, for example, I was saving the entire rental, I have to pay everything. If I spend all the rental income, I only have £50 left before my zakat date. That's what I'll take into consideration only. Okay. But a house bought with the intention of resale is fully subject to zakat at its sale value. Shares, unit trusts, and equity investments. Understanding shares, unit trusts, and equity investments in zakat. If shares are purchased with the intention to resell, then the entire holding is subject to zakat at the current market value. So you buy shares through trade. You're trading in shares, you buy and sell. Capital growth, capital gain. Then the entire value of your shares will be zakatable. Okay? If your business is you sit all day at home trading in shares. I know people like that. They sit on the laptop. Okay? As soon as the market's open, they're on it. Okay? Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. Such a person, what will he have to do? Or the entire share value, you have to pay zakat. Whatever he has on his zakat date, whichever shares he holds on his zakat date, he pays zakat on that. Okay? If shares are purchased as a long-term investment, then zakat is due on the zakatable assets of the company. And this is a bit more, needs a bit more of your attention. So if you purchase shares to hold as an investment, okay, that means I just want income from the shares. I like the company, I want income from the shares, dividends. Then zakat is due on the underlying zakatable assets of the company. What that means is, to work out zakat on such shares, you need to visit the balance sheet of the company. Okay? So if you're a shareholder, you'll have access to your balance sheet. You can even Google this and come up. If you type in, for example, BT balance sheet or Vodafone balance sheet, and come up with Google. Okay? Thereafter, on the balance sheet, you'll have your assets and liabilities on your balance sheet. Okay? So you'll see which ones are zakatable assets. Okay? You'll add all of that up together. Then you'll see which ones are deductible liabilities. You'll deduct those. You'll be left with a sum, net zakatable assets. Thereafter, you just have to check again on Google the total value of a company. So you Google in market cap, okay, which is the total value of the company. So market capitalization of BT will equal to £40 billion, for example, 40 billion. Then you have to see the percentage of zakatable assets in relation to the 40 billion. How much percentage is zakatable assets? If it turns out to be 15%, you will take that 15% from there and apply it to your shareholding. That's all. So 15% what? Zakatable assets. Hence, on your £1,000 of the shares, for example, you'll only pay zakat upon 15% of that. Plus any dividends you have with you, of course, because it's cash. Your national insurance contributions, no zakat is due. Now there's two types of pensions. You have a final salary scheme and the money purchase scheme. Or, in other words, a defined benefit scheme, defined contribution scheme. Okay? A final salary scheme, or which is known as defined benefit, no zakat is due. Okay? There is no quantifiable or specific amount of wealth attributed to the individual. The final salary scheme is such that if you work in the public sector or you work for the NHS, these type of jobs, no zakat due on those pensions. Where money is being stored for yourself, risk lies in the employer, not the employee. You don't have any right of recourse or delegation of where your money is going to be invested. All you know, based on your earnings in the last couple of years. That's how final salary works. Final salary is calculated on your last couple of years prior to retirement, your wages are on time. Okay? That's how they work out how much pension you receive. On such a pension scheme, there is no zakat. Okay? Likewise, there's another one which is out in the market, known as a career average. Okay? Career average scheme. That's you could say, similar to a final salary scheme, but the way they calculate your pension is just different. They look at your earnings yearly to calculate your post-retirement income. Whereas a final salary looks at your final couple of years. And that's how they work out how much pension you have. Whereas the money purchase scheme or the defined contribution scheme, okay, is zakatable. Zakat is due. The fund value is determinable and where the funds are being invested on behalf of the holder. Difference is in a money purchase scheme, okay, or a defined contribution scheme, is you have access to the statements to the fund, meaning you can delegate where you want your money to be invested. You can cede the right to the fund manager and say you deal with it. You can do that. Okay. Risk is borne by yourself, not the employer. So if there's a negative situation, the investment, or it drops, or there's a crash, you'll bear the loss. Likewise, if there's growth, you will profit and gain. So such a pension fund is subject to zakat. Okay, money purchase scheme. Now, how do you calculate zakat on this scheme? The obvious question. So we know what it is. Okay, big deal, right? All I know for us, is a savings for us when we retire. But how do we work out zakat? So, just like how we mentioned about shares. Remember what we mentioned about shares? You have to visit the balance sheet. In essence, you have to do the same thing for pensions. But pensions is quite complicated. Many pensions, they don't tell you which shares your pension has been invested or your money has been invested. All you know is 10% in technology, 15% in pharmaceuticals, 20% here, 5% in the financial sector. That's all you know. Okay? So the National Zakat Foundation, we carried out a survey on the FTSE 100 and the listed companies, and we came to the conclusion that there is rarely a single company which has more than 40% net zakatable assets. Okay. Hence, we give this advice that you can use 40% as a proxy when calculating zakat on your pension. Hence, if you have a pension worth £10,000, you will use 40% and you pay zakat on only 40% of your pension pot, which is £4,000. You won't have to pay zakat on the entire pension value. That's never the case. Okay? So you never pay on the entire pension, it's only on the net zakatable assets, and as I said, 40% is a good proxy to use. Okay, now money owed to you. This is also subject to zakat. So if somebody owes you money, that's also zakatable. There's two types of receivables. Okay? Receivables that are zakatable for all outstanding years. Loans advanced with hope of repayment. Okay? If I've given somebody a loan, okay, I have to pay zakat on that. Likewise, receivables from the sale of commercial goods. I'm a businessman, I have stock, I have sold goods, I have outstanding invoices. That's also subject to zakat. One may pay zakat before receipt of the loan. However, if one did not pay upon receipt, they must pay zakat for all previous years. So once it's outstanding, for example, I gave somebody a loan of £5,000 for 5 years. Okay, he's going to pay me back after 5 years. Once it's outstanding, I have an option to pay now. I don't have to pay now. Okay? I can pay, and it'll be better if I pay. Or I can wait after 5 years when I get the money back. If I wait after 5 years, I'll have to trace back and pay for all the years it was outstanding. Okay? Receivables that are not zakatable for outstanding years, loans advanced without any hope of repayment. It's a bad debt. Unfortunately, you give a loan to somebody, that person made a runner, he's absconded, AWOL, absolute Ali, right, gone away for. Then, you know zakat upon that. You've lost all hope now. Our wealth is gone. No zakat upon it. Or outstanding invoices for the sale of personal items. You sold your car to a friend, and he's saying, I'll pay you the money next year. Next year comes, he says next year again. His next year never comes. Okay, tomorrow never dies, next year never comes, right? Every time it's next year. It never ever pays up. Okay. You don't have to pay. For all the years it was outstanding, you don't have to pay zakat for those years. Only when you get the money, you'll add that into your current year. That's all. Wages, fees, remuneration of services. You have outstanding fees, wages, or remuneration. There's no zakat binding, okay, whilst it's outstanding. When you get those wages, you'll add it to your rest of your assets and pay zakat. Mahar, dawah, owe to the wife. So your husband, he promises his wife, I'll give you £20,000 as mahar. 1 year passes, 2 years pass, 5 years pass, 10 years pass. The wife's never seen the mahar. She reminds him, remember that promise you made on our wedding day? With so much fidelity, you made that promise to. Where's that promise? Right? And you see, the husband says, inshallah, one day, I'm saving up for you, this house is for you, this car's for you, everything's for you, forget the mahar. Everything's for you, whatever you want, I give you. Right? Then after so many years, you realize, you know what, I promised my wife, let me just give her the money. Then you go give her the money. All those years, 20 years it was outstanding. She does not have to pay zakat for the 20 years it was outstanding. Okay? She'll only get that and pay zakat for that year, that's all. Okay? Inheritance shares, likewise, somebody passes away, unfortunately, in family, you're expecting a payout of inheritance, but due to complications, you haven't received your payout, your inheritance share, 1 year passes, 2 years, 3 years, you get it after 5 years, you will not have to pay zakat for all the years you were outstanding. Only that year you get to be treated as cash and income of that year. Any farmers, if you want, any cattle on that land, sheep or goat, okay, and land in another country, and you are benefiting, okay, from the house, etc., then such assets may well be subject to zakat, okay, which they are. Step 2. So we discussed assets. Now liabilities. Debts and liabilities that are due or outstanding for repayment on the day of one's zakat anniversary are deductible. So anything due now, immediately due, I owe somebody money, that is deductible. Okay. Liabilities in relation to future consumption are not deductible. Example, rent, utilities. So next year's rent, I can't deduct now. Next month's rent, I can't deduct now. I'm not going to use that month. How can I pay it? I don't even pay the month rent, the rent right now. I can't deduct it. Next month's electricity bill, I can't deduct it. Next month's gas bill, I can't deduct it. I can deduct the current bill, the current gas, current electricity bill. I can't deduct that. I can't deduct next month. Only what is due right now. For long-term debt, such as mortgages or student loans, the net interest or principal portion only of the forthcoming lunar year's payment can be deducted for zakat calculation purposes. However, and this is a big however, it is recommended for this deduction to be made only if one fears the inability to repay the debt as a result of not making the deduction. So, long-term debts are really not deductible. You're not supposed to deduct them. So, a debt which you owe over many years in installments is not supposed to deduct anything. However, scholars have given a concession and have said, if a person finds it difficult, by not making this deduction, he'll find it difficult to repay the debt because he has to pay more zakat, in essence. Then he may deduct 1 year's amount only. And that also is the principal, not interest. And remember, mortgages, is it halal? Is mortgage halal interest? No. Okay? Yes, if you have, some scholars have said it is extreme circumstances. But those extreme circumstances don't really make much sense to me. Right? Many a time. Okay. So, because you're ready to enter a contract worth £200,000, but you can't pay rent at £600 a month. That with housing benefit as well. Okay, so it's very rare, and Muslims shouldn't get involved into a mortgage. There are Sharia compliant models, and we should bank in a Sharia compliant way. So now about recipients. Who can we give zakat to? Good question, which always comes. There must be a qualifying Muslim individual, not from the family of Banu Hashim. Banu Hashim is the family of the Prophet ﷺ. They too high to receive zakat. For them, they get different things, different privileges, but not zakat. Okay? Cannot be spent on mosques, schools, hospitals, burial expenses, etc. That means you can't pay zakat for the lighting of a masjid, or for the electricity bill of a madrasa, or for the equipment in a hospital. You can't do that. Okay? Yes, if a masjid, a madrasa, a institution, organization is collecting zakat funds to distribute elsewhere, that's fine. They're just doing an agency, acting as agents. So this means you pay them for their services or pay off for any outstanding payments. Okay, you can't do that. Cannot be given as wages or remuneration for any work. I can't give a needy person zakat because the work is done for me. I can't do that. Okay? The zakat payer in essence can't benefit in any way. But because I've received service from him, that's why I can't give him zakat, because I've already received benefit. So this would be a transaction, where zakat is supposed to be a unilateral transaction, not a bilateral transaction. And if I give it as remuneration, that would be a bilateral transaction. Zakat is supposed to be purely unilateral. From you, from one side to the needy person. You can't get anything back from the needy person. It has to be unconditional also. Zakat payments must be unconditional. I can't go to the zakat, the recipient, and say to look, I'm giving you £1,000 today, tomorrow you must go and spend it here. I can't do that. I can't impose it upon him. He should have his free will discussion to do what he wants with the money. Okay? Zakat cannot be given to one's lineal ascendants. So I can't give zakat to my parents, my grandparents. Okay? And descendants. I can't give zakat to my children, my grandchildren. Or one's wife. You can't give zakat to your spouse. Okay? Can be given to siblings. So people ask, why my wife needs zakat? Because give a sadaqah. Wife give a zakat. Give a sadaqah. Spend it in infaq. That's rewarding. You get a reward for that maintenance. That's why it comes in the hadith. But the greatest form of sadaqah, inna a'zam sadaqah. Okay, the greatest form of sadaqah is the luqma, the most that you place in the mouth of your spouse. The greatest form of sadaqah. So try this out time today. See, we learned a hadith, the greatest form of sadaqah is putting iftar suhoor time, you choose when you go to practice upon it. Suhoor might be more convenient. Iftar time, everybody's nafsi, nafsi. Mine's the one, forget that. Suhoor time, who can have suhoor? You're so full already. Let's go give us something. No? That's fine. Say, leave it. Right? So that's the hadith in practice. Imagine the greatest form of sadaqah. So it's beautiful. You can't give zakat to your brothers and sisters. If your brother is in need, your sister is in need, they qualify, you can give zakat to them. Means zakat is miscalculating or missing zakat from previous years, whether intentional or unintentional, remains a debt to be paid and must be done so without delay. This is zakat. So if a person hasn't paid zakat for many years, due to negligence, lack of knowledge, unknowingly, whatever may be the reason, see if you have to pay zakat. It might be that the zakat due. How do we determine if a person is eligible to receive zakat? Okay? So we have different categories of recipients. So we have the fuqara and the masakin. In the sadaqat, the fuqara and the masakin. So these two people are those, fuqara, the needy, are those whose zakatable assets, the cash, gold, silver, and surplus assets, if you add it all up together, it does not reach the nisab amount. That person will be regarded as a faqir, a needy person. Okay? So he can receive zakat or she can receive zakat. Another category is debtors, those in debt. So a person whose liabilities exceed the assets, the surplus assets, such a person will be regarded as a debtor. And he can also receive zakat. And when you give zakat in the form of cash, it's makruh to give more than nisab or to nisab level. Because this person was a needy 1 second, and now you're making him a zakat payer in essence. You've totally flipped the position. So a person who was a faqir, a needy person, it's disliked to give them that much money which will make them nisab holders, to give them nisab amount. So what you can do, there's two things you can do now. So because we face scenarios where people are constantly in need, and you have to keep topping them up. So you can top them up on a monthly basis with zakat. You don't cross the threshold. Or a second option is, you can give zakat in the form of assets, other assets, non-zakatable assets. You can give £1,000 worth of food. That's fine, no problem. You can buy a car and give that as zakat, no problem. you can still give money after that. Because that takes a place as a personal asset. Okay? So there's many ways you can do things. So, but if you choose to give cash, you have to be very careful with that. Okay? You shouldn't top them up. So you can top them up monthly if you want, and you can pay your zakat in installments as well. You can pay in advance in installments, but not, I can't pay last year's zakat now. You can't delay in paying zakat. So if you want to pay in installments, you pay your advance zakat in installments. That you can do. So next year's zakat, I can start paying from now. Every month I take out £25 and I give to a family that I give to. That's fine. Because I'll be giving a monthly amount and I'm paying advance for next year. But when next year comes, I'll have to look at my account and make sure I pay the right amount. Unfortunately, okay, what's happening with majority of people in UK, right and wrong, in some genuine cases, but all our zakat money is being just shipped anywhere, everywhere. Somebody comes and knocks our door, we don't know why, what. The brother will say zakat, sadaqah, lillah, Allah ke raste mein, you know, and we just give zakat. We don't understand why we're giving it, where we're giving it, or how much impact it will have. But zakat is a very powerful tool. Okay? So we have to understand what zakat is. So there's a discussion among scholars, do we give zakat locally or abroad? The scholars agree that each country is more worthy of its own zakat. It is therefore preferred to give zakat locally if deserving recipients exist. Okay? Now, how this works is, your family will always be given preference. Okay? Wherever they may be, family comes first. Because there's two rewards in there. One is giving zakat, and Silatul Rahim, maintaining ties of kinship. That's why, even if your family is abroad and they need, you can give zakat to them without any dislike. Rather, it's preferable and rewarding if you do that. Okay? However, if you don't have family who are needy, now the question is, where do you pay zakat? So step 2. Now, if there are more needy people overseas and abroad, you can determine, say, if those people are more needy than the needy people here, then only you can give zakat overseas. Otherwise, if there are needy people here, then it's severely disliked to transfer your zakat funds overseas. That is the rule in the Hanafi school. It's makruh tahrimi if you don't have a genuine reason to send your zakat overseas. And this is based upon the hadith of Sayyidina Mu'adh ta'ala, where the Messenger of Allah he said it to Yemen, and he said, تُخَذْ مِنْ أَغْنِيَائِهِمْ وَتُرَدُّ إِلَى فُقَرَائِهِمْ. The zakat will be taken from the wealthy ones from amongst them and given back into the community to the needy ones amongst them. As the scholars have said, zakat is based upon your locality. It's location specific really.